Okay, I'm getting short MM here because this uptrend kind of got broken right here, and the market is selling off through the 270 level, which is extremely strong. This kind of uptrend that got broken here. So what I don't want to see is like a double bottom off of this candle right here, and then like a push back higher. So if this holds, then I'm going to be more concerned about the position. I might think about taking that off early. My stop is around like 190 basically. It's pretty wide stop, so I'm giving this a lot of room to work, considering how weak the market is. Caterpillar like trades better. I just didn't want to trade that because it's at the support here already at 116, and I feel like I kind of missed the move if I got in here at 117 for this short under this pivot. MM is under 187 again. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I want to see that low that I just made break. Right here, there it goes, it breaks the low. My first target would be the pre-market lows. Second target, not entirely sure yet. It would be, I guess 180 is the next pivot down, isn't it? 180. Yeah, $180. The market continues to be weak, could get down there. This is the market right now. This 270 level was like a huge volume bottom a few days ago that it bounced off of after the huge sell-off, and it is now breaking down below it with high volume, by the way, and it closed below. So short plays are definitely the thing to do right now. So this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. If this kind of breaks the 185 pivot out here, a stop at break even would probably be a good idea. The next support in the market is like the 268, 60. So also if it gets down there, starts to bounce, I could consider maybe taking off some of the position depending where MMM is. See that downtrend line broke too that I drew here. So it also broke the low of the day here too, which is also getting 186.50. Again, another low in MMM. Nice rejection here off of this previous little pivot right here before it broke down through 187. It kind of held 186.80s and then just rejected that here on the 1 minute at 186.80s again. And we're now well into the 185s, 185.50. So the breakdown on MMM is definitely growing now. And this is the 185 is that little pre-market pivot in through here. If it breaks through there, I'm gonna have a break-even stop. So look at these past two earnings days. This one had a range of $11. This one had a range of $9. I am kind of thinking of taking off the position around 184. That's about a $7 ATR for the day. Although considering if the market just continues to sell off, then I would hold it. But we're just gonna have to see how the market is when it gets down to 184 if it gets there. And then looks like it's about to break down here. It's at 185.28. You can see on the 1 minute it's pushing up against here. If it breaks 185.20, that's going to be the inflection point for this to kind of roll over down to 185. So 185 will get tested if that breaks, and then we'll get our break to the 194 area in here. There isn't really too much bottoming here yet. There's only 2 candles down here, so I'm not too worried. And if it does go higher, I'm gonna have to let it retest and see what happens up here. You could do like the 186 stop and then look for a re-entry up here, but you're only getting $1, and for the wider stop, that may not be worth it. But if the market starts bouncing, the market has not bounced yet. If I start seeing a big up move in the market, then I would take off over 186. But it looks like we got the break of 185. We got the break of 185. So I'm going to be looking off to take off the position if this starts to kind of get down. This starts to hold the 185 break. We're at 184 90s, 80s. The bid is at 60. The ask is at 80. 50, 70 is the spread. Okay, back up to 185. Lots of volume increasing on that break there. 185 holds and it starts to push again. I'm going to get out of the position. Market is holding a little bit. High of this current candle is 68. The previous candle is 92. So I'm thinking over the 70s and 90s. I could consider removing the position. This does look like a good spot for M&M to make a retracement back into this area. So I kind of want to take off my position and wait for that retracement unless this starts to break down further. So I'm giving it a chance here. But right now, this kind of downtrend on the 1 minute chart looks like it might get broken here. And market looks like it may start to bounce. So over these 60s, 70s, I might have to get out of my M&M position. So market is putting in its first green candle after a while. So what I did is I took off half of my position on M&M. Probably top ticked it too. I think around 185.90 is probably where I got my, yeah, I think that's where I got my exit, 185.90. So I took up half a position here instead of my full position just because I want to give it some room to test the 187 again. My break even, because I have profit now, would probably be around 188. So it could actually kind of test all the way up to VWAP, and I would still be, in the green on this trade. So that's why I did that. And of course, the downside is that I only got half the position here instead of the full. So if I do get stopped out here, break even, then I make half the money that I would have if I took off the full position. So I just think the upside is better than the downside because it could come up here to 187, roll over. We do have room to 180 if this really wants to sell off today. The other thing that's important for M&M is that if you look at some of the headlines here, the Q3 earnings missed, and there's like downbeat guidance. So there's pretty much just bad news on this stock today, and that's another reason that maybe having a short bias in alignment with the market today, being very short or being very weak, could also be beneficial. It is rejecting the 186. Now, like if it rejects 186, for example, and starts to break down through 185 again, that could be an add for me. If I add to the position, if I add back the shares that I sold, my average would now be 186 now though. So it has to reject 186, and then I add a 185, and now my average would be basically that 186 pivot if that forms. Right now it's looking like it might hold though and push back up to 187. Another reason why I didn't take off a full position is because I didn't really see a confirmed hold of this 185. It just kind of got bought up through the 185 kind of quickly, but it didn't really have a sideways consolidation period yet where I see it holding 185. So if this comes down, holds 185 again, and then starts to come up, then that's a sign that there's a hold of 185. And I could actually consider taking off my full position instead of just letting it test up here, because it would have made like a double bottom and kind of consolidate around here for a while. It aligns with this pivot in through here in the pre-market at 185. There goes M&M held the 185.60, and now I'm gonna let it retest the 187 level. One way I could have traded this better is having a smaller stop. It did. You can kind of see here it pivoted up to the 188.80s before it rolled over. So 189 could have been a pretty good stop instead of 190. That would have put me kind of at a 1R here, around the 185s. Now, for me to stay in this trade, I need the market to also hold this rejection here of 269.80. So if this holds, you can see it kind of rejected 269.90 twice here, rejected the 80s here, and if it starts to continue lower, that's going to give me a reason to stay in the MMM trade. So MMM has obviously rejected the 187 where I entered again, so I'm thinking of adding. So if I add right here, and then I stop out at the 187 now, move my stop to that original 187, then I will be again break even on this trade. I'd like to see a close below 86 possibly. Although if the market decides to make new lows here, that may be another reason to add. You can kind of see it's holding 106 here at MMM, so I have not added yet because it's holding. But if this starts to break down, that's going to be really bad news for the market. So market bounced off of the pivot. We've got sideways consolidation along this now, so this is looking a lot more bullish. If this pushes up above this high, that's going to be a good reason to also stop out of this trade. It is also above my entry on MMM, so I want to see again if this is also rejecting 187.50 pretty nicely. Market is pushing up back to the VWAP to test that 270 level. I did say I wanted to just kind of see if this retests. I think this could hit the 270 and VWAP and then reject both of them. That would be very bearish, and I could look for another short entry on the stock. There is a little bit of pivot in through here at 186.70s, so that potentially could be kind of an add spot. If it starts breaking down into the 50s, that's another indication that this stock could go lower. It made a low here of 41. It was holding 47 for a little bit as well. We do have this little break of the 1 minute uptrend. So basically I'm going to see if this holds or not. Oh, looks like I'm adding to my position on MMM. Okay, so I've added to my position at MMM. I'm in the 40s here. And basically, I want to see the market reject here. If this continues to hold and push up higher, then I'm just going to get out, I think, because then the market could just push back up to the high of the day here. So I want to see this break of this trend hold, initially at least. So if this candle closes like this, I may also get out because that's not a good candle close. I want to see it close down near the low. Okay, it held 186.25 twice here. That also aligns with this kind of holding through here. So that's also not a good sign. The market is rejecting this pivot in. So if this breaks over, or that will align with the MMM, holding that little pivot, then that's also going to be a stop out point. This candle has now closed on the SPY. That's a perfect rejection of the 270 level. Now we just need to hold below and continue lower and break under this candle right here. MMM is coming back to the 186.25. Little pivot in through here. You can see this. Little pivot in through here. And right now it's holding. So definitely signs of strength in the MMM, not the best look. These next few minutes will be crucial for whether or not this trade has potential or not. I'm not liking this hold here at 186.25 anymore. So I may just stop out of the position. Kind of conserve my capital is my #1 goal here. I'm going to give it a little bit more. It's testing this little pivot in through here. You can see that was the high of this candle right here, right there. Kind of came down, tested that again, came down, tested that again. So these 80s are pretty important. It just rejected it again here. So I'm thinking maybe a close above 186.90, something like that, with the kind of like a quicker stop for me, especially if the SPY doesn't start to sell off. It is kind of hovering around that level. It's not really breaking down yet. So the SPY here, it's kind of pushing back up higher, not didn't continue its down move, which also isn't a good thing. So I'm thinking to stop out here over 187. Okay, so I've stopped out at MMM. We'll see if that was a good decision or not. It just rejected 187 again. I think I probably top ticked this again. I gotta try to improve my exiting because I'm always bottom and top ticking like every candle that I'm getting in. Gotta work on my exits, not top ticking and bottom ticking so much. Of course, when you wait to get out, that's usually why it happens. So you actually have to get out a little bit earlier before it gets up to here, because if you wait until that pressure kicks in where it's okay, you really want to get out now, that's usually when you get that bottom tick out of there. So again, just to recap, one way I could have traded this better, other than maybe not stopping out here at 187 because it looks like it's moving lower. I could have definitely kind of positioned myself to take off a majority of profit when it got to 185s. My stop was a little bit too wide, as you may have been thinking when I said my stop was $3 here. I got in at 187, 190 stop. That's obviously pretty wide considering the significance of this and the SPY selling off. So I could have positioned myself to kind of know that this probably would kind of come down to this 185 pivot here, and tested possibly those lows here. That would be an added bonus, but I think positioning myself to kind of get more profit here at a 185 target, possibly risking $2 for like kind of a 1-to-1 kind of trade with potential downside down to the 180s would be a better positioning instead of like a 190 stop. Having more of like a 189 stop would have been better. This add here, I could have also added at the VWAP here at 187.70, anticipating the rejection instead of, adding here at 186.40s, which is a $1.30 difference. So adding up here instead of down here would have actually raised my average instead of make my average around 186.70. And that would have been another way to improve this trade. So now I'm thinking like a stop over 187, 187.14, which is the high of this candle, would be much more of a safer stop, so that I don't miss this down move if it does happen. So it is pushing up higher now. I low-key wanted to kind of push up higher this, so I don't feel terrible about stopping out of this. It wasn't that bad because it was holding this little pivot through here, as I said earlier, and that is a higher low than these two, right? And it's actually making another higher low here. So in any case, I probably would stop out over this high anyway. It's not really looking too good here right now. And then early stop out, like kind of right here before this breaks and you get a kind of slippage, might actually be good too. It's at 187.08. And that's it for now. Just looking for ways to improve my trading, and hopefully I can help others along the way. But yeah, thanks for watching my first MMM trade, and I'll keep my eye out for the rest of the day in the market for any other potential opportunities.